Minister Spruds, thank you so much for making the time for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to start by asking you about Canada's announcement that it is acquiring air defense and anti-drone capabilities for Canadian Armed Force members and, of course, other force members in Latvia. But this is for the NATO mission happening in your country. How significant is that?
It is very significant. First of all, we are very highly appreciative of Canadian contribution, Canada's presence in Latvia, and enhanced forward presence. So Canada really makes a difference. Canada is an important ally of Latvia within NATO and, of course, also within region. And then, of course, additional capacities, additional capabilities also being brought by Canadian allies are extremely important, of course, for the troops in Latvia, but also for the security and defense of Latvia and also NATO eastern flank as well.
Now that this equipment has been acquired, how would you assess the readiness of the Canadian forces that are based in your country in Latvia?
Well, I think that readiness is always there. And of course, once more, it's efficient battle group with Canadian leadership. And of course, battle group consists of a number of nations. But at the same time, readiness can be increased all the time. Of course, it's an ongoing process. We have a specific roadmap between Latvia and Canada, and roadmap which moves to 2026 with specific steps how we proceed. So that's why, of course, the readiness is ongoing process and efficiency is improved all the time.
Let me ask you.
This is a significant step in this regard.
Right.
Yeah,
let me ask you some broader questions about what is happening in the region beyond just how Canada and Latvia are working together. Donald Trump repeated his position that the U.S. under his leadership would not defend any NATO ally that doesn't spend that 2% of GDP on defense. How concerning is that for a country like Latvia that does rely on support from NATO allies?
Well, unified approach is extremely important, and unified approach within NATO is extremely important for all allies, for all partners. So that's why, of course, we should sustain this effort, this unified approach, dealing with different challenges all the time. And United States absolutely is indispensable in terms of providing security, in terms of also strengthening unified approach. So yes, of course, we might be critical of some of the assessments, but at the same time, I am absolutely sure that there will be unified solidarity also in terms of dealing with those external threats in the future. And if you look also in the past, yes, sometimes domestic political elements come into the picture, but once it comes to strategic foreign policy and security decisions, there is a unified approach among all allied nations.
Secretary Stoltenberg did say that he expects 18 of the 31 allies to get to their 2% of GDP, compared to, I guess it was 11 last year. Do you think that NATO allies need to get to that percentage? I ask because, of course, as you know, Canada is not. Or do you think that 2% needs to be defined in a different way?
We believe that 2% is important threshold, that as Secretary General exactly expressed that 18 countries, and there are actually some indications that even more might be reaching the 2% of threshold, and these are commitments. But at the same time, again, so the nation states, the allies within alliance, they contribute in different ways, and Canada absolutely contributes extremely in an important way also by contributing to security and defense of allies, such as in eastern flank in Latvia.
You have, again, reintroduced military conscription for men aged 18 to 27. I wonder how much stress and pressure that puts on your country, because there is increasing talk, as you know, about preparing for a possible ground war. Not that it is imminent, but people want to at least be ready for that if it were to happen.
We have lived next to aggressive country already for years, so we are basically experiencing some hybrid warfare and now. So that there is nothing new in terms of preparing ourselves for different kind of scenarios, and actually preparing ourselves for different kind of scenarios and strengthening our defense capabilities. This is the best deterrence. So actually to deter, to preclude any opponent or enemy from even thinking about trying to implement those negative scenarios. So conscription is absolutely part of the defense capability building. This is widely supported within society. So yes, we are moving forward, and already the first steps have been made, but the first young people have been already conscripted. And as I once more mentioned, and I can repeat it, there is a societal support that absolutely we should invest politically, but also in terms of the societal engagement and involvement for defense of the country and defense of alliance.
Lastly, what would you say to, Minister, to Canadians who see this conflict as something that's happening very far away and wonder why Canada is so heavily invested in it?
Well, if we look for Russia's aggression in Ukraine, Ukrainians are not fighting for their freedom. Ukrainians are fighting for democratic values. Ukrainians are fighting for Euro-Atlantic security and also credibility. And also, actually, Ukrainians are fighting for rules-based international order. So the war in Ukraine has absolutely wider global implications. So it would undermine the system if we would not react. So absolutely our reaction, unified approach, and also, of course, Canadian commitment absolutely contributes to global stability, but of course also stability, security, and defense of the collective defense organizations such as NATO.
Minister Spruds, nice to meet you. Thank you for the time, sir.
Nice meeting you as well. Thank you so much.